murder for the purposes of sexual pleasure and for disturbing the peace of the dead. The defense, however, argued that Brandes had actually given full consent to be killed and eaten. The defense even had a copy of the videotape that Meiwes created of their entire evening together, where Brandes clearly gives his consent. Meiwes' lawyers argued that, at worst, he was guilty of killing on demand, or euthanasia, which only calls for 5 years in jail. Before we continue, please do let me know down in the comments below what you think about this very interesting conundrum, because the argument is valid that Brandes consented to his own murder. I mean, this man was eating his own penis. Basically, where in the world of criminality do you think this falls under? Psychologists said that Meiwes' is a case of sexual cannibalism comparable to Jeffrey Dahmer. Psychologists also stated that Meiwes is sexually confused but not mentally ill. They elucidated that Meiwes has difficulty understanding relationships and emotionally organizing them, and so for him, consuming another person is considered the most intimate act between him and another person. In 2004, Meiwes was given 8.5 years in prison for manslaughter, but a 2006 retrial resulted in Meiwes being convicted of murder and given a life sentence. Allegedly, most of the jury reportedly had to go to therapy after seeing the film of the two men's encounter. I have no trouble believing that. There's also a question as to whether Meiwes had actually fulfilled his fantasy. Meiwes allegedly hadn't fully realized that killing Brandes wasn't part of his fantasy, that he really only wanted to consume him. In fact, in his video, he shows hesitation and prayer before cutting Brandes' throat. Meiwes also reportedly did not like the idea of cutting off Brandes' penis. As of May 2020, Meiwes is now allowed in public as part of a prison release program, with 2 police officers monitoring him, and he is allowed a hat and sunglasses so that he is not recognized. Prison officials say that Meiwes is a model inmate and one of the few prisoners with whom there are no problems. Meiwes states, "Today I know that what I did was wrong, that this can never be the right way. The wishes, the fantasies you have, that these can never be fulfilled, and everything that you dream about will only ever remain a dream. What I did, even after I've done it, I always thought it could be more than just a dream. Today, I know that it can never be." Meiwes also says that since eating Brandes, he is always with me. Honestly, I have no other words to kind of describe my thoughts on this case. It's fascinated me for years, and it still fascinates me to this day. It's just such a unique case in that the victim willingly allowed himself to get murdered and eaten. If we go to our question of whether or not the worst monsters are no longer hiding in the dark, and if they're actually now in the light of the technology beaming into our faces, when it comes to Armin Meiwes, I think that if he didn't have access to the internet, he would not have killed anyone. Because if we're going based on what the psychologist said, killing was never really a part of Meiwes'